and it's actually pretty simple to do. If you have a downspout, which it looks like you do here and here, you can actually just run the wire right up inside of there and run the wire in the gutter, and then you mount it. I'm using a gutter mount, and all a gutter mount is basically this guy here that fits in the gutter, and then your light mounts in there. And then what I would do is I would go and I would mount that here, and I would mount one here.
Hey guys, it's Cal from The Lighting Doctor here. I hope you guys enjoy this video with some more great landscape lighting tips. To learn more about landscape lighting, go and check out our website at lightingdoctor.ca, or if you want to see what a real quality landscape light should look like, go and check out our Try It Before You Buy It offer, where you can get a premium quality fixture at a discounted rate with your very own battery pack, so you can go and test out how that light's going to look and feel what a real premium quality light should look like. So go and check us out at lightingdoctor.ca, or go watch more videos on YouTube just by searching for The Lighting Doctor.
Hey Brian, thanks for your email and for the pictures. Yeah, I'll give you some ideas for sure what you could do on your house. Thanks for sending the nighttime ones too, because that gives a guy a really good idea. And it'll help you visualize how we're going to kind of go from this to hopefully more something like this, but kind of similar style house. So that's what we're going to work on here. So how we're going to do that is really, like you saw in that house, is really working on highlighting the kind of the front facade a little bit more. Oh, sorry. Yeah, good. I'm glad I got some good angles too, so that's perfect. Okay, so what I would do is I would get those accent lights. So I would just use some standard accent lights. So when I'm talking about an accent light or an uplight, I'm really talking about these. I noticed that you do have some path lights. I'll show you where you can kind of use those a little bit, and then just some little tips and tricks. This is going to be a really good light for your project. You don't need anything a lot brighter, a lot more intense. Something like this is really going to work out nice. So what I would do now is, oh, sorry, and so I would actually have my accent lights in between the windows, kind of at the bases of the house here. The one thing I see that most people make the mistake of is they try and bring that light tube back and shine it at the house. Excuse me. And then what ends up happening is end up with this big hot spot on the house. So what I like to see is it actually fairly close, maybe 12 to 18 inches back from the house, and have that shining almost straight upright, so that you're really highlighting the nice brick wall you have in between. The nice thing with that too is that you get a lot of reflective light that is going to fill a lot of this area, so that you don't need as many path lights. And then if you were to still throw some path lights in there, what I would do is just stagger them in between where I have the uplight. So for example, I have an uplight here and an uplight here. I might throw a path light kind of in here, and then same thing in here, and then I have my accent light here. And even if you have trees and different things in front, I still recommend highlighting the house first, because then you get some cool like silhouettes of the plants that are in front of it. So they still stand out, they're just not lit up. So that's what I would do in that area. And then if we continue around the house to the front, the other thing I love doing, especially you have all these beautiful white posts and beams and pillars, is definitely trying to highlight and accent those. You can't really tell from this picture, but I do have some other ones. And actually, give me one sec, I'll try and pull that up where you can kind of see an example of what that looks like when you really highlight that, and how it creates those nice lit archways. So if I was looking at your property, what I would do is I'm hoping that there's a little bit of room. Again, you don't need a ton of room, but just enough room to get a light behind this shrub and this guy, that you can accent this front entryway. The only thing I would say with these ones, and the two that I'm going to recommend over by the door, and I'm hoping there's a little bit of a bed here that you can put a light. If not, I'm going to suggest at least these three. But my point is, anywhere beside those doors, the only thing you want to do with this light is you want to add something called a hex baffle. And you can go to YouTube, search Lighting Doctor hex baffle, and you'll see exactly what it is. But it's basically this little honeycomb shaped filter that fits over the lens. And all it does now is that as you're walking in and out, you don't have that light kind of side glaring into your eye. So I would definitely do that on that area there. I would probably try and get an accent light on this tree in front, just because this one is a little bit more in front. Instead of lighting this back window area, I think if you just put a tree, an accent light or uplight And sorry, when I say accent light, uplight, I mean the same light, but an uplight on this tree just in the front here, so it kind of highlights this middle area. And then I would have my 3 uplights at least on these 3 pillars for sure. The nice thing is with the nice white soffits and everything, you have that light hits up top there, and it's almost like you have soffit lighting, and it really does a nice job of lighting the archways, as well as gives you some reflective light down below. So again, you don't need as many path lights, so that if you were to put, you know, path light here, a path light here, maybe you throw one on both sides of this tree, and then kind of 2 over here in between where you have those lit. And then you can also get an accent light on this one here too, so you have that consistent balance. If it's all concrete here and you can't necessarily put one of those uplights in, one thing I would recommend, and I'm glad I see these flower pots here, and you could do the same with this one on this side, is a lot of times we'll actually just run a wire up. There's usually like a drainage hole in the bottom of these, so you can run it up in that flower pot and actually mount your accent light in there, and then place it at the base of there, and then you kind of hide that light, but you're not having to run, you're not having to cut concrete to get a light or anything in there. You just have a little bit of wire that's kind of running underneath that pot so that you can get that light in there, and it lights that really nice. And then to finish off the look, I would probably get 2 more accent lights kind of at the crook here of the window and the brick wall that are same thing, that are shining up, so that you're catching a little bit of the window as well as the nice brickwork you have. And one of the questions I always get asked is it going to be too much light in the window? And rarely is that the case, because again, you're not bringing it back here and shining it at the window. You're trying to get it fairly close and having shine more upright. If you are worried about a little too much light going in the window, which I don't think you will, you could always add a hex baffle on these ones as well. But these 2 by the door, I would definitely have a hex baffle on just to help deflect that light. So that's what I would do on the front of the house. And then the last little thing you might want to consider, which is actually pretty easy to do, and you can see they've done it here, where they actually mount the light up top to catch this 2nd story. If I go back to your pictures, I mean, and I'll make sure I'm going the right way. It's going to be lit up nice down below here, but then you're going to have these 2 dormers that I think could be some really nice things to accent and really make it stand out. And it'll be more than I almost guarantee any other do-it-yourselfers are adding to their designs. And it's actually pretty simple to do. If you have a downspout, which it looks like you do here and here, you can actually just run the wire right up inside of there and run the wire in the gutter, and then you mount it using a gutter mount. And all a gutter mount is basically this guy here that fits in the gutter, and then your light mounts in there. And then what I would do is I would go and I would mount that here, and I would mount one here just to catch that 2nd story dormer. So I mean, that's definitely something optional, but it is something I would consider. And then just to round out the look of the landscape around here, and because you have this tree lit up here, it would be nice symmetry across the whole front. I would probably try and get an accent light on this guy and on this guy on the end. The only thing I would do is, instead of putting it right in front, I would put it more to the side. And what that does is it just extends your viewing angle. And not that you're not going to get the effect of it looking in the front, but you've got the whole front of the house lit up really nice. And then if you're kind of more at this angle, then that tree stands out a little bit more. And same thing, if you're a little bit more to the side of the yard, that tree stands out a little bit more from that side. So really, you're just rounding out your entire viewing angle. So anyway, hopefully that gives you some good ideas for the front of the house. I mean, you can definitely throw an accent light on these trees for sure. I don't think that'll hurt you. If you wanted to throw an accent light on that guy, you definitely could. You could leave it for now and just focus on the house, see how everything looks. And if you feel like you need more, then you add that tree lighting later. Same thing on the side of the house here. You may want to extend that theme with highlighting everything and highlight the stone wall on both sides here. Again, you're going to get some nice reflective light that's going to kind of help highlight these bushes a little bit. So I would have 2 of those standard 20-watt accent lights on both sides, and then I would have one more in the middle here. The only thing is, with this one, I would probably use something a little bit brighter. So that same light that I talked about, I would just upgrade that to a 35-watt equivalent. And all that's going to do is it's going to do a better job of pushing that light up to that second peak. Now we can help customize a kit for you based on all this. If you want to get started and at least play around on the website, add some lights to your cart so you can get an idea for budget and that. But then you just let us know a count and we can put one together for you too, and make sure you have the right size transformer and wire and all that kind of stuff. But then to continue around this side, and you might want to do the same here. I mean, it might be really nice to accent these trees again from different viewing angles. So maybe more from the side, maybe more from this angle here. Again, using one of those accent lights, but probably a 35 watt equivalent one, because these are taller trees, is probably something you want to do. So I would definitely do that as well. And then in the backyard here, really what I would say with the backyard is you want to just you want to create some nice perimeter lighting. So as you're looking out from the patio area, and with any of the lighting, that's one thing you want to consider is where are you going to be looking at it from, and where do you want to enjoy it the most. So usually what I do in something like this is I'll just go and focus on a couple of the either more prominent trees, or kind of space out some accent lights evenly throughout the back area here, so that as I'm looking out, I can see these trees lit up and they don't just disappear at night. So it's tough for me to choose exactly which ones you want. I mean, if I had to say, I would probably put a standard 20 watt equivalent lamp kind of in this cluster here. I would probably, if there's a tree here, I would probably try and get one of those in here. And then I might try and do another smaller one, maybe in the front here on one of these two that kind of highlights it from this area. And then I would definitely try and highlight this more prominent tree with one of the brighter 35 watt equivalent ones. Yeah, this is a nice viewing angle too. So, and another thing to keep in mind too is it's nice to have different depths. So if you light this one from the front and you light that one back there, and then maybe you light this one, it's going to create that different depth where some stuff's lit a little more from in front and some stuff's lit a little bit more in the back. Another thing you could do along those same lines of mounting the light in the front, in those pots. This is another area where I like doing that too, where you could put a path light just on both sides here. Something I like doing, especially if you're going to plant some nice flowers or unique features, is just kind of running that wire up in there and planting a path light in both of there. It makes the walkway to the patio area very inviting, as well as the higher up you get that uplight, the more light it kind of shines down on, and where it'd be nice features because you have this nice brick wall, but because it's pre-built, it's going to be tough to get any lights there. Whereas if you have a path light sitting up here, you're going to be able to cast some light down on the brick wall. And you could do the same. If I go back, you could kind of do the same thing on this side here with one of those, where maybe you just run the wire along in the ground behind the wall, and then you just have to sneak it into that pot so that you're kind of highlighting at least the patio wall here with those lights. So that's always a really cool option, something I like doing. And then, yeah, kind of like I talked about that perimeter lighting. I mean, you have a huge yard. There's definitely some things you could do with fence lighting and stuff too, but I think the same thing back here, I would focus on just really highlighting some of these trees from down below, maybe like 3 or 4 of them behind the treehouse. So as you're looking out, it really stands out. For these ones, because they're a little higher, you might want to use that 50 watt equivalent, so a little bit brighter yet, because anything that's over 35 feet, I usually want to use that. And then I will give you one idea. Some of these branches are maybe a little high to do a hanging light, but you can also mount a light up in the tree and kind of have it shining down in a couple of these areas to provide some light down here. What's cool is if you get it up high enough above a couple of the branches and it shines through, it actually creates what we call a moonlight effect. So you kind of get the shadowing of the branches down below, so it looks like you have a full moon all the time. So that's a really cool option. If you want to learn more about that, go to YouTube, search Lighting Doctor, moonlighting. You'll see some videos of how we do that. It's actually quite simple. And we can always work on that. It's just, it's a little more work because now you got to get a ladder to get up there. If you're anything like me, I don't love heights. I don't like doing it, but the effect is probably one of my favorite things to do. I know this video is getting a little long, but I really want to cover a lot of these areas. And just keep that same theme with the perimeter lighting, even around the back of the house here if you wanted to. And I think on the back of the house, I would focus more on the landscape and on the front, on the nice brickwork. but I would probably just get an accent light on these two guys. It helps light up this area. I don't think you need to add a lot of path lights because you don't really need to light up the grass area, and it's really going to help those bigger trees stand out. Same thing, you have one over here that you might want to accent, and really you just have those three lit up there. That might be enough. I don't know if I would worry too much about this guy here. My theory with lighting is less is always more. You can always add more lights if you find there's a couple dark spots around the property. Another recommendation I probably would make is just because of the size of the property and the potential, you probably want to have one transformer that feeds the front and one that feeds the back so that you have room to add more lights later if you want. Also, you'll be able to control the front and the back separately, which is always a nice feature. So I hope that gives you some good ideas, Brian, to get started. Let me know if you have any questions. If you have an idea of kind of how many of those lights you're looking at, let me know and I can start customizing something for you. I'll give you one last thing that you may want to consider is if you go back to our homepage, we do have something called our Try Before You Buy a Light, which might be a good start where you can actually buy just one of the accent lights that comes with this battery pack. And just keep in mind, all your kits that we sell come with the battery pack anyway, so you have the chance to test them out. But this gives you one light at a discounted rate with this battery pack that now you can go and shine in a couple of those areas that I talked about, so you can make sure you kind of get the maximum effect, and especially in the backyard where it's going to be only you can determine, I think, really. And even if I was doing this job, that's something that I would do. I would show up the night before and I would take this light and I would go play around with it on a couple of those trees in the backyard and say, yeah, I kind of want this one lit. I kind of want this one lit. I kind of want this one lit. And it's the best way to help save you some money too, so that you're not lighting every tree. You're really just lighting the ones you want. It also helps you determine if there's going to be any dark spots and come up with the best effect. So that's something I would also consider. But if there's anything else I can help with, Brian, please just email me back. And thanks again.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video presentation with some great tips and tools on how to go and properly and effectively light up your landscape. And be sure, if you want your own free consultation video, just send me an email at cal@lightingdoctor.ca with a few pictures of your property, and we'll get back to you with some really cool ideas and ways to go and effectively light your property. And be sure to watch the videos after this one for more tips on how to install landscape lighting, as well as how to light up your landscape the best way possible.